first was identify the sources of the gas. And to do that, we looked at existing well and a subset of volume of the 2007 3D seismic data. We reviewed that data, and we will continue to review that to get a sense of where the gas is coming from. And we need to do further analysis of the 2013 3D seismic data. Second task was to determine the volume and rate of gas migration into the aquifer. We do recognize that the disturbed rock zone continues to serve as a source of gas to the aquifer and the gas cap. We're doing some analyses to determine whether or not the gas bubbling zone is increasing in volume, whether or not it's static, or if it is in fact being reduced due to venting operations. And we need to further review the 2013 3D seismic data, and that is quite important for what we're doing. Our third task was to identify reductions required in gas pressure or volume to prevent gas migration to the surface. We need to collect data to inform our analysis, and the first part of that is to go out and collect cores and gas samples to improve our understanding of the system. And then finally, we're going to do some computer modeling to determine the gas phase reduction pressure required. Finally, or not finally, task 4 was to determine the effectiveness of current vent well operations. And for this, we need to do radius of influence tests, and that is critical for this task. We need to maximize the effectiveness of existing vent wells. There are a number of vent wells in the parish or in the immediate area. Some of them aren't operating at what we would consider 100% efficiency. So are there methods that we can go in or that can render these vent well operations much more efficient so that we can depressurize zones at a quicker rate to get you back in your homes. And also evaluate alternative technologies for getting the gas out of these vent wells. And there are different types of pumps that can be utilized to, let's say, dual phase pumps that will pump out both the gas and water, because sometimes the water in the well does impede the gas flow. So we need to improve efficiencies and methods of extraction. Task 5, we need to develop monitoring performance metrics to ensure that gas poses no future threat to public safety. So to do this, we need to monitor for decrease or cessation of bubbling in the area, and that's a visual confirmation. We also need to determine the necessary reduction in aquifer pressure, in the gas phase pressure in the aquifer, so that it no longer bubbles up to the surface. And we feel that we need to evaluate enhanced mitigation measures for homes. So are there methods that could eliminate the threat of gas coming into your living space? And finally, task 6, we need to address the concerns with hydrogen sulfide gas from cap rock and heat formations. So what we need to do is we need to have hazard identification, we need to come up with mitigation contingency plans, and we need to determine monitoring best practices. And with that, I will introduce Will Pettit, who's going to give the next phase.
So I've been tasked to give you a summary of the stability group's assessment. And I guess you've heard from me previously regarding the microseismic and rock mechanics situation here. So we're going to come up with a comprehensive monitoring plan for the short term and long term that looks at the stability of the area. This plan is split up into basically 3 different first is surface subsidence and sinkhole. The second is passive seismic. And the third is caverns and wells. We're going to look at each of these three areas, come up with benchmarks for the future that can then be, as we go forward and do monitoring and we get results, we can compare those results to those benchmarks and assess the stability of the area. So in the following 6 slides, I'm just going to cover, again, 6 tasks that, on the stability side, that Blue River Commission has been tasked with. So the first is to look at the effect of Oxley Creek cavern collapse upon the current and future stability of all the caverns in the area. And for that, we need to do further analysis of the 3D seismic data. We have Don Marlin with us, who's going to be looking at that data for us. We're going to develop long-term cavern operational practices and kind of pass those on to the operator. We're going to, second task is to identify the short and long-term monitoring needs that should be undertaken to monitor the stability of the western edge of the salt dome, existing caverns and the surrounding sedimentary layers. We feel to do that we need to have long-term access to the wells in the area that are there and likely to be decommissioned. We need to keep access to those wells, Oxy 1 and Oxy 3A, to keep monitoring in the future. We need near-surface seismic monitoring, and many of you know that that system has been put in place by Texas Brine and continues to be developed. We need the deep microseismic array in the salt, and again, those plans are in process to get a permanent microseismic array within the salt. And we need to extend subsidence and deformation monitoring to look at physical behavior of the subsurface and surface. Our third task is to identify measures to ensure that the threat of surface releases will be contained within the current bermed area around the sinkhole. And we've affirmed through our discussions, we were in all agreement in here that on this point, that we need to maintain that berm due to continued subsidence issues. We feel the berm is going to be affected by subsidence in the longer term, and that berm needs to be continuously maintained and upgraded as needed. Task 4, we need to analyse the existence of void spaces to determine if they are of sufficient size such that a release of gas from such void spaces could pose an immediate or long-term threat to the public within the evacuation area, including Highway 70. We've done some rock mechanics modelling on the disturbed rock zone that's below the sinkhole, and this is indicated an extreme unlikelihood of large void spaces, so that's good news. We've done an initial review of the 3D seismic data, but that's going to continue with Don's analysis to look at the potential of these gas voids. We're going to task 5 is to evaluate the current or future damaged weak areas or subsidence around the sinkhole where potential future movement or subsidence may occur, threatening your safety in the evacuation area, including Highway 70. And to do that, we feel that we need to make sure that the full-scale subsidence monitoring occurs along that Highway 70. And we're going to be working with DNR and DOT to make sure that that happens. We need to establish subsidence metrics of the Western Dome and in the communities as well. So then, as I began, task 6 any additional actions or monitoring measures to be undertaken to assure public safety in the vicinity of the sinkhole and evacuation area, including Highway 70. And as I was saying at the beginning, in order to do that, we feel that we need to come up with this stability monitoring program that's going to go in the short and long term. In the next few months, that will be establishing these baseline data against which we can then evaluate stability over the longer term. This program is going to be regularly reviewed with reporting to the public, and it's going to have specific triggers in there. So when we see anomalous activity that indicates a change in stability, then that's going to trigger specific response actions that will then go on. This monitoring plan will include oversight and quality checking, so regular annual quality checking to make sure that the monitoring program has been put in place effectively, and that is going to be there for the future. So with that, I'm going to pass you back to Perry.
Here you can see the path forward for the Blue Ribbon Commission. What now? What's next? Independent review of the 3D seismic data. We're hoping to complete that by mid-June. Analysis and action on other stability gas issues ongoing, not waiting necessarily for the 3D seismic data where not needed. There's so many sub-tasks that have to be accomplished. That's just one group of information that is out there. Ongoing full commission focus group web and conference call meetings as needed. Several of these subgroups have already scheduled their next meeting, the next time that they're going to get together. One of the accomplishments of this 3-day was to leave us with the list of all the data needs. And so that will begin immediately, trying to get those things processed and also streamlined to get back to them. And setting a formal safety benchmarks for natural gas removal and surface stability is the ultimate path forward. So this gives you a very quick overview of the Blue Ribbon Commission. At this time, if you have any questions about this body, what they plan to do, we'll entertain a few questions. This body does not have the answers you're looking for when it comes to things that Dr. Gary Hecox may talk about or Mr. Trish may talk about. But if there are things dealing with this commission, we'll open up at this time for a few questions. And then Dr. Gary Hecox will come up and give you a situational update of what's going on the ground right now. And I think that's where most of your questions may be generated. But at this time, I'd like to ask if there are any questions about this Blue Ribbon Commission.